Good evening, everyone. Looking forward to my chat with Luke Asper, owner of Asper Studios, who is going to talk to us about how to elevate our virtual presence by optimizing our at-home workspace. I have to admit, if you spend only 5 seconds looking at Luke's website, you know he is an incredibly gifted creative with an eye for all things videography and photography. His ability to evoke emotion and create connection is immediately evident in his work. He is truly a vision carrier. Luke has 10 years experience providing creative content across many industries, and he's been working with professionals who are in need of transforming their cluttered home offices into glowing professional home studios where they can virtually coach and facilitate workshops to their clients. So we asked him to come share with us some valuable tips and tricks to use with our home environment, as well as benefits of using different technology. So whether you're looking for tweaks you can make at home with what you have, or maybe you're looking for upgrade ideas, Luke's gonna have something to suggest for you. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our resident expert, who also happens to be the youngest qualified facilitator in our Core Clarity Facilitator community, Luke Asper. Luke, we're so glad to have you here.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. Glad I can help out.
Awesome. Well, when we saw that you were helping facilitators and professional speakers elevate their game virtually, we knew that we had to talk to you because what you do makes a really big difference in what participants experience from a virtual platform. So I'd love it if you could just kind of kick things off for us and share with us why a professional virtual presence is so important.
Yeah, so I guess the first thing I would say is that it's, even if it is live in person, capturing the audience's attention is already difficult. Just being on stage or in front of people, or not on stage or just in front of a screen's, hard enough alone, versus now even being virtual. Everyone's in the same little box and squared from Zoom or Google meetings. And so being able to just draw the attention right to you at the, opening it up, people notice my, the screen here. Obviously you can tell my setup is a little bit different than most Zoom meetings, because I figured out that a higher end quality camera can be worked and used in between Zoom, Google meetings, anything that needs a virtual camera. And so just being able to have that higher quality, or just, the lighting to be a little bit different, it just automatically draws the attention to your box, your little square, to you, to get the people's attention at the beginning. And, just being able to see and hear clearly is a big, huge, thing that you'll need. If it doesn't matter if you're live using a microphone or something like that, being able to be seen and heard is definitely one of the top most important things you need, regarding anything, and especially when it comes to virtual meetings.
Absolutely, absolutely. So you hit on something that I struggle with here in my home office, and it's lighting. You hit that one right on the head here. So let's take some time to kind of talk about the in-home environment. So things like lighting, background, positioning. I've got a huge window in my office, and I'm either really washed out because the light is pouring in, or I've got lots of shadows on me. So can you share some helpful hints about lighting and background with us?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So lighting is probably one of the cheapest, easiest things that can just, like you said, brighten your Zoom or online virtual meeting experience. So what you'd want to see is some depth in the face. So the thing about, your webcam, you noticed, you said it earlier, that it's either washed out or too dark. So the dramatic range and the exposure that these webcams can produce is nothing to the quality of a camera or even your phones. If you can take a photo with your phone, it will auto adjust and auto expose. The webcams just are not anywhere near the quality of a phone or even a DSLR. So the ways that you can combat that is having enough light onto your face, or the right equal amount. So if like one side is just, you know, really bright and this one's really dark, your webcam cannot adjust for both. So it's either going to make it way too bright or it's just going to make it way too, you know, too much shadows. So having, you know, completely full light, a lot of light, as much light as you can get equally within your screen is definitely going to be something that you'll want. That goes for any type of, you know, movie or production. You want everything to be completely exposed. So usually, you know, there's some ring lights that you can get put right in front of your camera, and it will equally you know, expose the whole entire face, but then you lose the dramatic slash like the definition. So you see some shadows. So you can see some shadows here on my face that just adds some depth. You know, hey, I'm a real person. If we were standing in a room, you know, you'd see the shadows. This is
Sure.
normal. You would want to have a light like I have is at 40-degree angle. So I usually will, I don't like putting it right in front of me because then it makes it look like a, you know, a beauty commercial or a makeup commercial. You know, they want to be able to see all the, you know, stuff. And so I don't personally like it. It does work. Like you can get, you know, it'll expose everything. And so that will be a good help. But if you set that same ring light, just, you know, 45 degrees to the side, you'll get, you know, the depth and the shadows, and just, it'll bring out, you know, your body, you know, separated from the background. So I have a light right here at 45-degree angle. It's super soft. I can set the, you know, I can dim it if I need to. So, you know, at night it can be as bright as it wants, or, and, you know, it's, you know, daytime here. So we still have some light out here on the windows. And something I even did is, I'll show you here in a second, but to diffuse the light.
Mhm.
So the softer the light is, the less hard the shadows are. I don't know. It's very, it's, you have to know what you're looking for, but my shadows here on my face are very soft, like
Yeah.
very, very soft. And that's the kind of feel that you'll want on your videos. So having a webcam, you know, it's not that obvious, but I've actually diffused my windows. So I am next to my windows. They're
Yeah.
completely open, but I took a shower for this explanation. I do have diffusion, you know, but I'm a video production company, so I do have that stuff that I can use. But you can use anything from a bed sheet or a shower curtain to cover up, and I'll show you right here, cover up your windows to add that soft lighting.
Okay.
So I've literally just taped some diffusion over here, and that is what I get on, how I get that soft effect look onto the, and the closer you are to your windows, the more it will cover everything.
Okay.
The farther away you are from that window will be harsher shadows. So you want to be really close to the window, or as
Okay.
close as, you know, I'm not going to go sit in that corner back there when the window's over here. I want to be as close as I can to the window or to a light that's softer, and that will just brighten everything. Do not sit in front of the window. There's been so many Zoom meetings I've seen that people will be sitting with the window completely behind them, and the camera exposes for the outside, and then it's just a silhouette. And so sitting in front, just literally moving your camera or moving your laptop to be in front of the window will fix that problem immediately. So you can either sit in front of the window, sit at an angle in front of the window. I have a light and my walls are white, so it does help bounce. There's a lot of light bouncing around, filling this up.
Yep.
Another thing with lighting is adding practical lights. So you'll see this in movies. You'll see a little bit light in the background, and then you'll see like it'll be glowing right here. And so in your mind, it's like, oh, that lamp in the background is what's lighting the person's face, when it's all staged. Like it's all fake. There's a light that you don't see outside the camera shining on it, but it's called practical lights, and it helps break up you from the background. So you know, I won't sit in front of a wall because then it's just too flat. There's no depth. You know, in your office, you would want, I would think, you know, you'd want to show off your office because, you know, everyone's at home now. You know, you're not just going to stand in front of a window or a wall in real life. So, you know, I like showing off your stuff in the background. So make sure your background is clean. And I have a thing, it's called in videos called leading lines. So I have it set to, you can see here on the window or this door. So I have lines right here pointing at me. So like if I was like sitting here in the corner, the walls are literally directing your eyesight to you, the speaker. So in videos, we do that. We'll put someone with, you know, depth in the background and having those lines pointing to the person. So having some good depth in the background, having some lights on in the background. I have 2 lights on right here just to add some separation so I don't get, completely, looks like it's just a flat image and something. So those are just some simple little tips about lighting that will make a huge difference no matter what type of camera or lens you're using.
Awesome. Now on those lamps, the lamps that you have behind you, is there a certain wattage of light bulb you have in it so it's not too bright?
Nope.
Nope.
The only thing I have is, the lamp shade right there is great. So if I have done it at night before where this lamp was too bright. And so, I got a $10 little dimmer from, I think it's Walmart or Amazon, just a little dimmer. And I took it down a little, but that's just because I noticed it. I would notice that because that's, how I,
Sure.
process things. So like I took it down a little bit because at night it was too bright, but here there's no dimmer on it. This light over here does not have a soft light, but it's pointed down, so it's not affecting this camera at all. So,
Okay.
you wouldn't want a light shining right at the camera in the background, because then it'll get that same thing as the window effect of completely washing you out and making you black, because it's going to try to, adjust for that light. So
Okay.
make sure there's no lights facing the camera.
Great. So I want to talk just quickly about virtual backgrounds, because I know with Zoom, there's lots of people that are playing around with the virtual backgrounds. And I think for the most part, especially if we're presenting, facilitating, we're probably not going to have a virtual background on. But let's say we had to. For some reason, we had to. What is your recommendation on how to choose a virtual background if we do have to use one?
I know there's recommendations for, so like I know in school some students are having to do it because of the privacy settings and stuff. So having any type of virtual background helps. If you were to do one, I would check the lighting. So I have, the window is coming this way. So if I had a virtual background and the lighting is coming from this way, but then this side of my face is lit, it will be like, oh, hey, that doesn't, in your mind, you're not thinking, wow, there's a light over there. In your mind, you're like, okay, that's a fake background. Like it's not
Right.
real. So just, I guess, and you can mirror your camera inside of Zoom and inside of Google, like to mix and match. But I mean, high quality image will always be better. I've even seen people who will take a photo of where they're sitting. So they'll take a photo of their background with them being out of the frame, and then they'll even use that as a virtual background. Like they'll blur it out a little bit and they'll use that as a virtual background, which I think is funny. But when your webcam, if you're trying to get that depth effect, you can take a photo from where you're sitting without you in it, blur it out. So I guess it's user preference. I mean, anything, if you're doing a very serious, presentation, don't have a funny background in the back, don't have a meme, don't be throwing up something that would, distract people from what they're looking at.
So we shouldn't be on space. Probably not a good idea. Be up in space and
be on space. No.
Okay. Are there any rules about having, whiteboards, flip chart paper? I mean, this is kind of taking what we would normally have in the front of a room as a facilitator. Are there any rules against that, or are there any tips on making sure that they can see it if you do use something like that? I'm assuming that will take also some attention to lighting.
Yep. Yeah, so that would go to the rule of thirds. So in film, you have a grid. So like right now, I am in the middle of, I'm looking at my camera, I'm in the middle of my rule of thirds. So I am directly in the middle. So this is how I'm talking. If I was, doing a video announcement or something, I want to be looking straight at the camera. I'm talking to you, so I'm looking straight at the camera. For interviews, you'd want them, have them sit, on this side right here, looking off to the camera. So because it's the rule of thirds, you're talking, you're leading. So I would have people sit, on this rule of third and have your background or your flip chart, whiteboard right here. So you're not taking, so like usually the rule of thirds is, I'm right here on a line. There's a line right here. And then it goes right here. So my eye line is on a line. And then your background or your whiteboard would be right here. And I think that's definitely just making sure you're staying to the rule of thirds, not too low where there's too much headroom, not too high where like your head is getting cut off, but being set here. And then I would put a whiteboard right here or your flip chart right here.
Okay.
And that would be definitely an option.
Okay.
Just, the rule of thirds.
Okay. It looks like we did have a question come in from someone who would like to have you speak to placing a Zoom window as close to the camera as possible so that it looks like you're looking at other people as opposed to down. And I know we all struggle with that with different heights and that sort of thing. What kind of tips do you have for us there?
Yeah, so usually you want the camera to be at eye level. So like if you had a laptop, you don't want it to be staring up your nose. So with mine, on my laptop, I have it on a stand. So I just bought a stand off of Amazon, and so the webcam is directly at eye level. My camera here is on a little tripod with a stand. It's at eye level, and then I will put. So like right now, I have the zoom like right behind my camera on my monitor. You can do this I could put my camera behind my computer. So I'm looking at, my computer screen. It's kind of like a teleprompter. So like you're looking at your camera, but your computer's right there. So it can look like that, or just know that you're talking to people. And so you'll have to stare right at the camera. It gets the same as like if we're doing a video announcement video or something and someone gets really nervous talking, it is very uncomfortable talking to people or talking to anyone through a lens.
Sure.
And so I feel like that's just something that over time you get used to. In the beginning, it's super awkward staring at a lens, knowing you're talking to somebody and being like, this is super awkward. I want to be able to see what they're doing. But I think especially if you're doing a presentation or a tutorial, something like that, it is common for someone to be looking at a screen while talking to the audience, especially if something on the screen is, being presented. So usually they're not looking right at you and being like, why isn't he looking at the camera? They're looking at the screen also. So just being able to place it so I can put my camera behind my laptop so I can, make sure it's at the same level. Or if this is it, how it is right behind my monitor, is right behind my camera, and I have my zoom right behind it. So if I have to look at what you're doing, it's just a little bit of an eye movement. It is noticeable, but until they come out with a see-through display monitor LCD screen, I don't think that will be a thing that'll be able to be fixed.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, so I want to make sure that we have enough time to transition and talk about the technology piece of things, really cameras, sound, that type of thing. So I already know we have a question regarding using your phone versus a webcam. So let's kind of go into that camera space, if you will, and talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so for any type of program, you could use your phone, DSLR. If you're on a Mac or PC, there are plenty of options out there to be able to get this type of quality. No matter if you're PC or Android or iPhone or Android, PC or Mac, the program I'm using is for specifically just for a Mac. But there are other alternatives for PC that you can get the same look. It's not just PC or Mac or better, so they're the only ones who can do it. There are definitely different programs that let you use your Canon camera as a webcam for PC. I don't have a PC, but I know the software that can do it, and so like I've definitely been able to work with both of them.
Okay.
So I'll show you right now the difference between so this is what my webcam looks like. So this is a normal webcam on just this is even the like newest laptop, so this is still like a very, in my opinion, very poor quality. Like even for webcams have not been updated, and so they've just even the Logitech ones, it's been 4 years since the newest one came out, and so I feel like after this there'll be several options. But even your phone, so if you have a phone, you can still use, and it's probably gonna be a little bit of a lag, but it's not, it's because I have all my all my screens working right now. But
Okay.
even with your phone, if it's Android or Android or an iPhone, you can still get good quality like this. You would not be able to get this depth, this sharpness from a webcam. And so even if you have a your phone can literally do this. It's an $8 app that I use called Epic Cam, and so you load the processor into the computer, and then that once you turn the app on, it recognizes it. And so this is what I first used before I figured out about the DSLR option. And then now that I have this, it's my main go-to. But then I do use the phone to show what I'm looking at. If you did have something closer you need to take, I would use my phone and go show them over here while using this program I'm using specifically for PC or Mac. Yeah, it's for my Mac.
So there's definitely some benefits. There's some that are a little bit more versatile than others, especially if you were presenting something and you were walking around. Is that what I hear you saying? Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, any other, your phone or a camera is always going to have better quality than just your webcam. So if you're like, well, I don't know, is the phone really worth it? Yes, the phone is definitely a huge step up of an upgrade to just your basic webcam.
So how do you have your phone set up? Is it in, is it on a stand as well, or how do you have it balanced?
Yeah, so this is I guess I'll kind of show you on this one. So I bought this little stand off of Amazon, and this is the one I was talking about that I can adjust, and it can go above, and I can put it behind my laptop and I can adjust the height. I just have it comes with a stand and you can just screw it on and then you can move it. But just having this little, I think it was 19 bucks on Amazon. But yeah, this is what I have, and this is what I would put behind my monitor or my laptop and just adjust it accordingly.
Great. Great. So that also frees up your computer space. So talk about when we're presenting something, how do we have two screens? How do we utilize two screens? Can you talk a little bit to that?
Yeah, so the program I use is called Ecamm Live, and so I have the ability to have two, well, up to 4 different types of, I guess you'd call it screens. So I can, have this camera going and this camera going, and I have my iPad plugged in so I can have this going up. And so there's different apps and stuff like that will let you do that. But for mine, the way I use it is, so I have my laptop over on one side and I have my main, computer screen that I know most people don't have. I have it because it makes it way easier for editing. And so in Zoom, you can do the screen share. In Google, you can do the screen share. And so, I would always put my Zoom video conferencing stuff on my laptop, and my main one would be the screen sharing. So when you're not screen sharing, they're not seeing your Zoom and all the back end stuff, not your, coaching notes and stuff like that. They're just seeing what you're trying to present, and all your other stuff is on the other monitor that you're going to see. So it's simply like when we're, presenting in your laptops on the side connected to the projector, all the stuff you'd see on that laptop versus your, projector, they're just seeing what's on the projector and not what's on your laptop. And so that's why I think it's beneficial to have two monitors, your laptop on one side or your computer on one side, or, if you do have a desktop, maybe getting another monitor just so you'd be able to look at one while they're looking at the only one over here. But you can definitely do it with just one too. Okay.
What was the app that you are using that allowed you to use multiple
It's called Ecamm Live.
Ecamm Live? Yeah. And that's for Macs, correct?
Yes. The pro version is the one that lets you have the virtual camera option and all the bells and whistles to be able to do the incorporating the webcam into Zoom, Facebook, YouTube, Google Meetups, anything like that.
Okay, great. Okay, so I guess that leaves us with the audio piece of things, which is so critical, especially when presenting. I know I've been on many virtual calls where the audio is less than stellar. You maybe have an echo, you maybe have crackling coming from somewhere. How do we get around all of that and to have a really good audio experience?
So I would say anything besides your computer. Do not using a computer audio. The microphone, it's just not close enough. It does work and it has gotten us this far, but now if you're trying to present and you need crisp, clear audio, there are several different ways. So like right now I have this one that is set up. It's a normal, just a mic that I had, and I can just show you the difference now. So this is just like my mic now, and obviously it sounds really, really weird or just sounds normal, what people are used to. But then once I switch, like it is a night and day difference. Like hopefully I can't hear it because it's back and forth. Yes. The night and day difference of just having clear audio. And so I have this one set up to a actual little, audio mixer board that I have for my speakers. Obviously, you will not have this set up. I mean, if you do, then oh, definitely 100% use it. Do not just let it just sit there. I was letting it sit there and using my video camera microphones, plugging them into my computer and just using those just to get a different audio. Another thing I see is people using like the headset, you know, they're going to go fly a spaceship type thing. I think those are more distracting than actually helping. And usually if they're, you know, I don't want to say outdated, but usually if they're at that point, they're not as good, as high quality as most type of headphones that are out there, like the little Bluetooth ones.
Mhm.
So, you know, I'm obviously a Mac guy, so I use the Bluetooth or the AirPods. And so they're tiny. You can't really see them. They're not distracting. The quality is much better. If I didn't have this, if I didn't have my, you know, camera microphones that I could, you know, figure out how to move and add to it, I would 100% be using my just Bluetooth headphones because, again, your computer audio is just not something I would never rely on. And so adding just a mic, there's cords that you can plug right into your headphone jack on your computer and it turns it in and lets it use it just as a mic, but something a little bit off screen, you know, that you put, you know, I've put my mic underneath my laptop before and it still is much better than just you know, your computer's mic. And then making sure the surrounding you're in is not, because I know Zoom tries to auto correct. So if you have something in the background or in the other room and it's loud enough for Zoom to pick up, it will, you know, raise your Zoom audio and it's very distracting. Or if you have kids in the background, like it will try to pick up that because it's like, oh, it's trying to hear. So let me just raise the volume up and then it's just too loud and it sounds really bad. So making sure you're in a, you know, quiet environment, nothing's going on in the background, nothing's going on. I've had situations where, like, you know, a garbage truck will drive by and my windows were open. So now I've learned, okay, I'm leaving my windows closed now. I'm not going to have that happen. So, you know, making sure that you're, you know, close enough to the mic and not really relying on your, you know, computer mic. So if I
Yeah.
didn't, if you just had your computer, I would try to get some type of, you know, Bluetooth headphones, but not the like telephone spaceship ones, because then I think you're gaming or, you know, going to the moon or something. So
Right, we're back to the moon. Okay, so how do like hardwood floors versus carpeted floors, how does that affect the sound? I know that I've gotten a lot of bounce off my floors because I've got hardwood floors. Does a rug help that? What other?
anything, any, you know, rug, blanket, if you know, if you have, I have, you know, normal walls, but like if you did have some type of steel or something that will bounce, adding a, you know, blanket right behind your computer on that wall, adding a blanket. I have a rug underneath me also. We don't have wood floors, but, you know, I have two different types of layers of of audio right here. But if it is echoey, you know, definitely put some stuff on the walls that are going to be in front of you or underneath you.
Okay.
For sure.
Okay.
But that could be anything. You don't have to go buy some, you know, audio, you know, sheet that blocks it. Any type of cloth. If so, like even for like voice recording, audio stuff, I just go into a closet because there's so much clothes, so much cloth, that material just, you know,
Right.
absorbs the audio.
Okay. Great. Excellent. Well, I have definitely learned a lot from you today about how to elevate my own virtual presence. I've got some work to do, especially on this big window here. So for those people who may have more questions for you or maybe want some additional help, can they contact you? I see down here you've even got more information. You can email me at luke.asper@asperstudios.com, which is great. But we'd love to hear from you on what you can offer others if they would like additional help.
Yeah, so I have a few like packages where, you know, I can send you a video tutorial how to download the app, how to install it onto your computer, how to make sure you have the right, you know, type of Zoom, because there's so many workarounds with that they've been working with security process and stuff to get, you know, these things to work again. So I have, you know, the basic, let's just get you set up on your phone, or to even let me help you if you do have a budget to get and you want to transform. Or I guess the other thing I failed to mention, like using a DSLR is, you know, I will record my lives, I'll record my meetings, and because the quality looks like this, I can turn that into content. And so you know, I would never post a, you know, just a normal Zoom meeting with a webcam of like, hey, here's my ad, here's my sales pitch, here's my like elevator pitch. Like when you have quality like this, I can turn it around and use it for video content. And so I have clients that want that also. They want to, you know, they're speaking to 10,000 people and they need to be able to clearly present themselves to their employees and stuff. But then also they're like, oh, I want to start producing online content. I can't fly and go to these places to do my speaking engagements now. I need to start providing video content. And so I have a package where I literally help you, you know, debating on what type of budget you have, what you're looking for, you know, even if it's, you know, music production or like, you know, singing, like let me help you figure out your packaging with mics and audios and cameras. And then, you know, over a few types of Zoom meetings, I get you set up, get your home office set up, you know, in your budget so that it fits right on your desk. And all you have to do is turn it on, you know, hit play, you know, start your Zoom, and that happens. And so there's several different things and options that I can help out with.
Wonderful. Thank you, Luke, so much for joining me today. This has been a lot of fun, and you have some great tips to share with us. So thank you very much. We appreciate you doing this for us.
Thanks for having me on.